Guess what? We're live. It's just gone 8 o'clock and it is a Saturday, and that can only mean one thing. It's time for what a week that was. And this week has been, well, I've got to say a quiet week. This is such a thing. Things we're going to cover are tragic deaths of celebrities, including Sinead O'Connor, George George, yeah, the newsreader, and a couple of others as well. It's not been a good week for celebrities, put it that way. Don't forget to join in the chat, like, share and subscribe. Smiley Mac, hiya, hope you're good. Today we're looking at, well, first off we're going to look at what happened last Sunday in that news. And last Sunday was the continuation of the horrific fires going on in Rhodes, particularly in Greece, although some of the other islands as well were being basically burnt to a crisp. Absolutely horrendous scenes there. The problem you've got, of course, is that all that stuff that's burning is producing and releasing carbon, which is making the whole situation worse by quite a long way. I clicked on the wrong thing there. I'm great, thank you, Smiley. Good evening, Luke. Yeah, it's been pretty horrendous if you're in Greece. A lot of holiday companies have cancelled flights there, and they've put extra flights on as well to get people home from danger. Meanwhile, in Ukraine, Odessa, a cathedral was hit by a Russian missile. I mean, if you hit in places where people worship on a Sunday, then you are most definitely a war criminal, in my opinion. Hi Angela, so we've got Luke, Smiley Mac and Angela. Hope you're all good today so far. Looking for something, there it is. I found what I was looking for, but I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Silas is outside, she's gone for a walk round outside, she's not into the etiquette. So yeah, I have no time for Putin and his cronies, I'm afraid, which means I'll probably fall out of a hotel window at some point in the near future, which is weird because I don't actually go to hotels. Anyway, that was Sunday. Monday, it's George I used to be able to say it. One of the nice newsreaders, George Ayagala, has died at the age of 67. With bowel cancer. He's done a few programmes about his mental health during the process, and also the living with cancer, etc. But sadly lost his battle at the weekend. Meanwhile, the Greece wildfires are being described as being totally out of control. Oh, apparently I'm online, who knew? And it were absolutely. They'll wait for the one to be built in Wigan to push you. Yeah, I think that's why they're building it. I think the council want me up there as well, I'll be honest with you. But yeah, the wildfires are completely out of control in Greece. Not just Rhodes, but all over Greece. Meanwhile, there were massive protests in Israel after the government passed laws stopping judges from making decisions which go against what the government want people to do. So basically, they're just becoming a state where the government decide the fate of everyone, which seems completely ridiculous. Meanwhile, Rishi Sunak went for a meal with a building in a suit. Oh no, it's two pictures, isn't it, stuck together? Sorry. Meanwhile, Rishi Sunak announced plans on housing and said that he's not going to support people building on green land. So basically, we're not going to concrete over the countryside, but they're going to relax extensions to houses, shops, conversions, and building on brown land sites. There's an easy way to solve this problem, and that's basically sort out our borders, and then we won't have to worry too much about needing more houses. We need houses for the people who are born and bred here, don't we? Another death was Trevor Francis, who was a footballer I remember from the 1970s. And he passed away at age 69 whilst on holiday in Spain from a heart attack. But again, not very old. George was 67 and Trevor Francis 69. These days that is no age whatsoever. But he also became a pundit. I've seen him on a few programmes. I'm not really a big follower of football, but still, sad. Brownland sites. Brownland sites are, for example, if there's a steel mill, or in Wigan, better still, areas where there used to be a lot of industry. For example, at the top of Pemberton, there's a road called Foundry Road as you head up towards Billingy, and they've built a lot of houses on there. But that was industrial land. It's been wasteland for decades, and they've now started building houses on there near Pemberton railway station. And they've done it in other places as well. They've done it on Frog Lane, Woodhouse Lane in Wigan, on the way to, from Wigan on the way to, what's it called? Appley Bridge. And they've also done it in various other places, which is basically land that's been used for something before, and has been left derelict because the industry, whatever it was, has been demolished. They leave it for a length of time to clean the land, naturally, and then they can build on that, rather than building on fields and cutting down forests and woods and things like that. So that's what a brown land site is. It's basically something that's been built on before but has been empty for a while, or if it's an old school that's been shut down, again like the one near Asda, the school there was shut down. That was knocked down and they built houses on that, so that is brown land. Also Rathbone's Bakery, which used to be in Wigan, I worked for them for a while, that was knocked down. That is classed as brown land because it's had industry on it and now it's got houses. Not a problem, Angela. That's what we're here for, to discuss and learn things, innit? There's lots of things to learn. Every day is a school day, except Sunday. Although technically it is a school day because I used to go to Sunday school. Me, I go to Sunday school. The ridiculousness of the situation. Anyway, what can you do? Whoops, we got the wrong thing there. There we go. Next up is Wednesday, and the court in Brussels found 6 guilty of the murders in 2016 at the airport in Belgium, which killed many, and they will no doubt be put on life sentences. Meanwhile, more tragedy struck in Greece. This aeroplane, which is a water tanker, which I don't also know how they work, but they fly around, they pick up water, and then they fly over the fires and they drop tons and tons of water down in one go. Tragically, this one clipped a tree. It went a bit too low, clipped a tree, and it span out of control, crashed, and the 2 pilots on board were both killed. Absolutely horrendous. But the fires now are absolutely raging in Rhodes. No sign of the temperatures going down, although thankfully they did later in the week. Then on Wednesday, that was still Tuesday to be fair, but on Wednesday, Sinead O'Connor, the famous Irish singer, famous for Nothing Compares to You. Nothing compares to you. She did it better than me. Prince did it better than me as well. Song written by Prince, covered by Sinead O'Connor, was a worldwide massive hit, and possibly paid for a rather humble life for the rest of her life. But tragically, she was found unresponsive, aged 26, in a London address, and she turned to different religions over her life. She was brought up a Catholic, which was pretty horrific according to people who've read her biography, and then she became a Muslim and struggled with lots of issues, including mental health. She wasn't like men who don't talk about these things. She did openly talk about them, and she did mention them quite a few times on TV programmes, and I think she did a couple of documentaries as well. She was very open about the situation she was in, and her upbringing and everything, and it's just an awful waste the tragedy was one of her last Twitters that she did, last tweets, was a picture of her with her son, who took his own life 2 years ago, and she never really got over that situation. Now, we don't know exactly the situation that caused Sinead to die, but I hope to. I just hope it wasn't something that she felt she had to do, and it was something that was unavoidable, because things like that is avoidable, and it's just awful when people end up in that situation. We've got lots of people talking. I don't know. It's been 10 minutes and we're at Wednesday. It's going too fast. It's a fast week this week. But yeah, mental health is a major thing, and most blokes don't talk about it. I've been in very dark places. Hopefully I won't be going there again anytime soon, but I've been in very dark places myself many years ago, and I just hope that she wasn't in a dark place when she passed. That's all I can say. But yeah, absolute shocking story, and a surprise as well, a big surprise and a bad one. Meanwhile, Kevin Spacey has been cleared of all charges against him for sexual misconduct against various men over various years in various different locations. Basically, the judge just threw it all out, and the jury found him not guilty, so he can get back to his life. But of course he can't, because you are forever tarnished, even if you're innocent of these things, once you've been charged for it. Meanwhile, the junior doctors, they are back on strike again. They apparently are overworked, undervalued and underpaid. Oh, hang on a minute. Here we go. We've got a text off someone. Who's it off? Oh, I said she was 26 instead of 55. I thought I said she was 56. 415. Anyway, yeah, overworked, undervalued and underpaid, the junior doctors think. Low stock, 26% off, same with NHS, reduced to clear, final clearance. Yeah, I have very little support for the junior doctors. They do a fantastic job, blah blah blah, but unfortunately they've chosen the time when the whole world is in crisis, and are not budging from this 35%. Labour have said they can't do anything about the 35%. Obviously the Tories have said they can't do anything about that. They've already been given a wage rise against their will of, I don't think it was 6 or 7% for the junior doctors, which I know isn't 35%, but it's better than what some of the other public sector workers have got. And bearing in mind the money they're on, it's actually quite a substantial increase. Should get. We haven't got the money to give them a 35% pay rise. I mean, where's the money coming from? You'd have to take it away from social care. You'd have to take it away from other things. You know, you can't give people 35%. If they're on 30 grand a year, you're giving them £10,000 a year extra. If you give them 33%. If you times that by the number of junior doctors you've got, that's a hell of a lot of money. And the country, the world, hasn't got that money. We can't give them money we haven't got. And they're just pig-headed. And yeah, no sympathy whatsoever, as I wrote in the paper last week. I have more sympathy with, weirdly, the actors in... he has the money for a year or two, Smiley Bank, Rishi Rich. But yeah, I have more sympathy for the actors striking in America than I do for the junior doctors striking here, which is a weird state of affairs, bearing in mind most of them are multi-millionaires. But the thing is, they're doing it for the future generations coming through as well. And yeah, I think you've got to be realistic on these things. And you know, like I said last week, the guy who they wheel out for the junior doctors, he does look like a spoilt, no one's ever said no to him brat. And he just thinks if he stamps his feet enough and throws his dummy out the pram and gets everyone to strike all the time, the money's just going to magically appear from nowhere. It's not going to appear from nowhere. We do not have 35% to give anyone. So no, it's ridiculous. And yeah, I have no sympathy for them. I think it won't be long before people think of them like we think to stop oil protesters, but more of them later, sadly. Meanwhile, on a completely different note, the Beano celebrated its 85th birthday and brought out a special issue, which is the 85th anniversary issue. It says it there at the bottom right near the barcode. I've bought a few Beanos in my time. I bought a few when I was a kid. I didn't really like it, but I bought a few of the celebratory ones. So I bought I think I bought the 50-year anniversary one, and I think I bought the 60-year anniversary one. But this one featured quite a lot of people who were around today, including Harry Styles there. The woman with the microphone, I have no idea who she is. Then you got Dennis the Menace, Minnie the Minx, and a few other characters that I'm not overly familiar with. But they also did King Charles and Queen Camilla, and I think William and Kate were in there as well, and a few other celebrities. If you want to buy the Beano 85th anniversary, if you look on eBay, it's going at the moment. People are asking £85 for it because it's 85th anniversary. Some people are just mad, and not in a good way. Oh, shut up, Harry. What's Harry got to do? Oh, no, Harry Styles, not Harry. Harry Styles. Well, yeah. Shut up, Harry. Stop making your music. Sorry. Whoops. Oh dear, that's going all over the place. I've got put it back in position. Anyway, that was Wednesday, and then you've got Thursday. Now Thursday is quite a busy day. You'll be pleased to hear. We've had quite light news, but Thursday's quite a busy day. So happy thoughts, people, as we look at, weirdly, worldwide, July will be the hottest worldwide temperature ever recorded since times were recorded, which is bonkers, because we've had like the monsoon of the summer. They've said you're going to have Indian summers and all that. Well, we're not getting Indian summers, we're getting the monsoons. To be fair, we're not getting them as bad as other places. I mean, obviously people have died in many different countries from flooding, and then you've also had all the massive amount of heat and fires going on around Europe, America, even China have had fires as well, but China being that big has also had the floods. You've also got in Australia, as we said last week or the week before, it's been the coldest start to their winter, or the dry start, sorry, to their winter in Sydney since records began. So there's no rain in Australia, but there's a lot of rain up in the Northern Hemisphere. But don't worry, the weather isn't completely messed up. It was, it's absolutely insane. But this is a worldwide temperature. So the average temperature worldwide is 17.08 on the 6th of July, but it's remained high since. Now 17.08 doesn't sound a lot, particularly if you think about the places that are 40, 50 degrees. You think, well, 17.5 is, it's not quite shorts weather for me. I only put my shorts on if I know it's going to be 20 degrees or higher. And if I'm walking home, I generally only take my top off if it feels like 25 to 30 degrees, because I don't want to scare people unnecessarily. Although I do to you guys on YouTube all the time, but I mean, you know what you're in for when you're on this channel. But 17.08 degrees centigrade also includes the top of Everest. Also, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that was the temperature at the top of Everest, it's the average temperature. It also includes the North Pole, the South Pole, and all the places that should be really, really cold and should be in minus degrees. So 17.08 is the temperature averaged out for the whole planet, and that is ridiculously hot. Now you see the smudge underneath the graph, that is every year that they've got on record and the temperatures, and you can see a slightly darker line on the graph, and that is from up to about the 1940s, 1950s, and then all the lines afterwards are well, even earlier than that to be fair, but all the lines after that are after the Industrial Revolution and as time's gone on, and the thinner the white line, the clearer the shading gets, is more recent, and it's not, as you can see on the bottom line, it's quite dark, but we're not repeating the same temperatures every year, we're just moving up. So that line isn't getting chance to actually get darker because we've only written one line there, and then the next year it's a bit higher, and the next year it's a bit higher, and the next year it's a bit higher. So yeah, there is a major issue going on. The arguments are that yes, global warming is being caused by human interaction. The other argument is global warming isn't being caused by human interaction, as global warming has occurred over hundreds of thousands of years. I think the main issue we've got at the minute is the speed that it's changing, and that's the major issue. I kind of agree with what Just Stop Oil wants, but I don't agree with their methods. And also, like I've said a gazillion times, okay, maybe about 20, it doesn't matter what the UK does. If the UK ceased to exist and everyone on it ceased to exist, it wouldn't make a blind bit of difference to global warming. We need to get countries like America, China, India, I think Pakistan as well, Russia, to actually reduce their carbon emissions quickly, but they're still increasing. So we're cutting our carbon emissions, we're being good girls and boys, and everything else, but we're not affecting anything because everyone else is bigger than us. You know, we are basically, on the size of on the planet, we are basically a thumbnail. That's all we are. Whereas you've got countries which are pretty much complete hands in comparison. So yeah, it doesn't matter what we do. We could just go back to burning coal in all our power stations, give every car diesel, all drive around at 100 miles an hour, and it wouldn't affect one bit the global warming. And that's what's annoying. Hello Daniel Vernon, I didn't see you pop on there, hope you're good. No, please no Stowe, bring thunderstorms. I was just saying hello. I'm not a girl or boy, I'm a helicopter. Thank you, Smiley Mike, I did think about that. But you've now put an image in my head that I don't want. You being a helicopter. Good news to a degree, in the fact that a innocent man who'd been in prison for 17 years has been cleared of rape, and it turns out that Greater Manchester Police, Wigan's police force, he's accused them of being liars, cover up, and basically framing him for a crime he did not commit. DNA evidence, which was available 17 years ago, was not used, and yeah, it's just a complete miscarriage of justice, and hopefully he gets the compensation he wants and needs and deserves. But also, I read somewhere that if he gets X amount compensation, the government can take back an amount of that because he spent 17 years in prison. They're going to charge him board, food and lighting and heating and stuff like that. Now, I assume that's a joke and it's not real. But if that is real, there's something very wrong with our judicial system. As in, are you ready now? Smiley Mac, you can say it now. Prince Harry, he's been told that he can take the Sun to court over getting information on him and posting it in their papers and on their websites without his permission and doing it underhandedly. However, they cannot be charged or cannot be taken to court over phone hacking. Apparently he's not allowed to take him to court over that. I have no idea why, but that is the shut up other Harry. Very good, Smiley Mac. Guilty till proven innocent has gone too far. Absolutely. I don't believe that anyone who's charged with anything should have their name put around until they've been found guilty of that crime. I think innocent till proved guilty. Now they say, well, we tell people about that because we want other people who may be affected. So if it's a child abuse case or a rape or something like that, which are very serious crimes, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they're not, but if people get named, like the actor before, Kevin Spacey, and like other actors who've been found not guilty, the guy who plays Kevin Webster in Coronation Street, famously Cliff Richards, who wasn't even charged with anything, and the BBC were flying helicopters over his house while the police were doing a search. Absolutely wrong. And it doesn't matter if you're Joe Bloggs who lives next door but one, or whether you're the Prime Minister of England. You should not have your name in the public domain unless you've been found guilty. And if you've been found guilty of something, then people can say, well, actually, we had a similar incident, and you can get trialed again for different things. It's happened before. It just seems ridiculous that you can ruin someone's life by naming them when they've done nothing wrong and they are found not guilty in a court of law. It just seems, you can't build back up from that. I mean, even now when I see Coronation Street, and I see Kevin, first thing that goes into my head was, he was wrongly accused of various crimes. It's just not fair. But once you're found guilty, put it all over the place. And I don't understand why children or people under 18 who do murders and rapes and all that kind of thing, why they can't be named once they're found guilty. I think they should all be named. I mean, Venables and Thompson were named, the Bulger murderers, and they were only 10 at the time. Then they get released years later and their names get changed to protect them from the public. But one of them, I think it's Venables, is back inside again over various other acts. But obviously he's not called Venables in there. But no, you shouldn't be named by the media or anyone, even on social media, until you're found guilty of something. Because it's so easy nowadays to say someone did something to me and the police take it so seriously, which they have to, I suppose. But until you've been proven in a court of law to have done whatever you've been accused of doing, then you should be anonymous. I mean, for example, there's been rape cases where the alleged rapist is named publicly. Doesn't matter, it could be, like I say, the guy from Next Door But Three has been named publicly for this alleged crime. It goes to court, found not guilty. Everyone breathes a sigh of release, but in that society and in that area where he lives, he's always the rapist. Meanwhile, the person who falsely accused him, assuming that the court get it right, I know they don't get it right all the time, but the person who falsely accused him gets away with that without being named. They don't name the victim, which I agree with again. I'm not saying they should name the victim, but what I'm saying is it should be the same for everyone. If you're accused of a crime, then you should have the same anonymity as the victims of the alleged crime have until you're found guilty. And if you're found guilty, right, John Smithins of 55, any street, any town, has been found guilty of this heinous crime, has got X number of years in prison, and then other people might pop up and say, well, actually, he did something to me, or they did something to me as and when, and then they have other trials. It just seems the wrong way of doing it. Anyway, it was a bit of a rant. And I've left Prince Harry up on the screen for so long. I do apologise. I feel really bad now. The Met Police, because Sinead O'Connor was found in a London address, have said that there were no suspicious circumstances, but there's no other information coming regarding her passing. And I've deliberately put up her in the headdress because obviously when she became a Muslim, her religion changed, and I don't think it's right to show an image of someone who they would not want to be shown once they've changed their religion. So that's why I've not shown the skinhead pictures that you would expect and other people have shown, but as a mark of respect for her wishes of being a Muslim. But hopefully, like I said before, it wasn't something, I mean, it's horrendous that she's passed away, but I just pray it was some kind of incident or accident or something, rather than a mental health that's done something, because that would be terrible. Talking of terrible, British Gas highest ever half-year profits of nearly £1 billion. Now, British Gas and all the other gas companies as well, in fact all the other energy companies, British Gas by far the highest, but other gas companies as well and other energy companies have had massive profit surges, hopefully going to get heavily taxed by the government, but I don't understand why they're allowed to do that, why they are allowed to raise the prices, why the government says, right, you can raise the prices to this level, and then the government pay them money, taxpayers' money, which has now gone into their profits. Because you think about that 60 odd quid we all got, every house got, for a few months. That's a lot of money. And is that just the profits? Has the government basically paid for these profits, which is basically taxpayers' money? Because if it has, that is so wrong as well. I mean, it was greatly received, don't get me wrong. The 60 quid a month basically paid for my electric for the house for a month. I had to top up with a fiver. But no, it's absolute joke that British Gas has made this much money, and gas prices have still not dropped down, even though the world price has come down so much. At one point it was even lower than it was before Ukraine was invaded, but we haven't seen any of that, have we? It's an absolute joke. Harry's gone, it's safe to return. Yes, smiley back. Harry's gone, thankfully. He will come back later though, you have been warned. Anyway, that was a busy Thursday. A very busy Thursday, in fact. Like I said, a lot going on. But that brings us nicely to Friday. And Friday was yesterday. Always is when I do these on a Saturday. But when I did them on a Friday, Friday was today. Donald Trump. We really like Donald Trump, said no one ever. Oh, so yeah, there are a few idiots who do like him. He says he will continue to try and become President of the United States of America, even if he's found guilty for various offences, including having documents which he shouldn't have had after being president, removing documents from the White House which should never have happened under any circumstances anyway, storing documents in a way that is deemed unsafe, i.e. in just cardboard boxes in a bathroom. Yeah, the guy is criminal, isn't he? Let's be honest. But no, he's going to carry on going on. Talking of a criminal, the Mayor of London. Oh, Foxstar. Brit gas is one of the biggest rip-off energy prices. Yeah. The ULEZ zone in London. Now, ULEZ stands for Ultra Low Emission Zone. I had to think then. It says it there at the top. Duh. The Ultra Low Emission Zone, which is basically what we had here, which was CAS. But ours didn't happen. There was a backlash, and the council, Greater Manchester Council, retracted from it, and it's still under review. It's not gone anywhere. All the cameras are still there, and last time I checked, the cameras were still active. If you put your phone up, if you've ever seen a car headlight or a car brake light through your phone, and it's LED, you'll see that it reacts differently to what your eyes see. And that's because of the amount of times it comes on and off. The phone sees it as going darker and then coming on again. If you look at these cameras, you can't see anything with the naked eye, but if you hold your phone up to it with the camera on, obviously, you can actually see that they are active. There are little red lights in there, and sometimes you can see them flashing, things moving, well, not moving, but things lighting up and cooling down again inside when a car goes past. Now, it might be a reflection, but I can't see it being a reflection because that would be dangerous for car drivers, so it's obviously some sensors that are going on. But basically, I kind of get the idea in London, I kind of get the idea in Birmingham, Manchester, maybe Leeds, maybe Sheffield, but, you know, Glasgow, Edinburgh. I kind of get it for those cities because they are densely populated cities with lots of standing traffic because there's too much traffic in there. And the standing traffic is pumping out noxious gases which are dangerous for the people who live in the area. 100% get it. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to make people upgrade their vehicles to the electric vehicles, which, as you know, I am dead against. Electric vehicles, no way, Jose. Again, if you don't know what I'm on about, have a look at my rants that I've done in the past. Have a look at other ones where I talk about electric vehicles. But there's a reason why electric vehicles are not the future, and I've gone on and on about it. But anyway, they want people to reduce the emissions that the cars make, which kind of makes sense, like I say, in densely populated areas. So the current ULEZ, which is the darker blue on that map, is the centre of London. So that's basically when you come off the M1 and you go onto the Ring Road, which is near Wembley, that kind of area. It's kind of up to there. It's kind of that area, but circled around London. So that is a very dense, populated area with lots of children, lots of people living there, high-rise flats. obviously the chemicals rise up, you've got the windows open, it comes through, and yeah, it's not good. So I get it for that. But they want to expand it now, basically to the M25. Now, a lot of this area, particularly when you drive into London, you go under the M25 on the M1, and it's still countryside for miles and miles and miles and miles and miles. And it's gorgeous, it's lovely, really nice. There's absolutely no issue, I would imagine, with any kind of emissions. But the Tories and councils of London, who are now involved in this light blue area, have said, whoa, you can't do that, but there's no need for it. It's just a way of victimising people who are just trying to get on with the job. So if you've got you're a handyman, you've got a clapped out transit van, you're going to get charged not £12 a day, like a motorist would do on a car, but because it's a works vehicle, it's going to be considerably more. And they're saying it's a charge, it's not a tax, it's not a fine, it's a charge. They won't give you any real help to get a better vehicle, so you basically lose your job. It's completely insane. So they took it to the High Court, and the High Court have said, you know what, the Mayor of London, yeah, you're right, we'll go with you. And everyone's like, what? It's madness. Where we go? We've got a lot of writing. That your thing is shocking. So the unused cameras still working are using electricity. Very eco. Very good, Deno. Yeah, good. Thanks, Angela. Electric car equals good. No, it doesn't. Smiley Mac. Rant equals longer stream. Yeah. If you use a sensor, you can see the output from the CAS cams. How's your caps lock, Angela? Oh, I hit this keyboard. Okay. Stealth tax. Yeah, it's just a way. They're saying that they can't manage the money properly, so it's a way of getting extra money in without actually upsetting anyone, apart from everyone else. Of course you'd get back in again. That's what happens. You know, we've got the same problem around here as well. Like say in Wigan, we had CAS, Clean Air Zone, and Wigan got dragged into it by the council, who basically said, you know, we've got a problem, we need to get it in. We'd never had a problem for decades, pretty much since all the industries that I mentioned before about the brownfield sites vanished. Wigan has been a wonderful place to live. I love it to death. I think it's fantastic. You know, literally a 5-minute walk from anywhere in Wigan. You're in the countryside. It's so nice. But for some reason, we got dragged into this clean air zone thing. So all the cameras went up, all the signs went up, and the cameras are still there. They're still plugged in. They're still active. God knows what they're doing. I mean, they might just be active but not actually transmitting something, but we don't know that. And then all the signs had stickers put on them saying now under review. Now the stickers have got glue on them. They're made of vinyl. And a guy's been round in a van putting them up, or a few guys have been around a van putting all these, the signs were original, they've gone around all again, putting all these stickers on them. So there's nothing even remotely environmentally friendly about this thing. But since then, Wigan Council and other councils as well have decided to introduce a lot more cycle lanes, and a lot more cycle lanes mean that there's less lanes for the cars. And cycle lanes, if they are specifically cycle lanes, cannot be used by anything other than cycles, although to be fair, the one near Wigan Pier seems to be used mostly by a couple of people on mobility scooters, which I don't have a problem with, don't get me wrong. But those could have been made into bus lanes, so buses, taxis and cycles could use them equally. It's very rare you see a cyclist going on the cycle lane going out of Wigan. Usually if you see a cyclist coming out of Wigan in that direction, they're on the other side of the and riding on the road, going past the old or the current auto centre and the Domino's Pizza and all that kind of thing, because it's just easier doing it that way rather than going on the cycle lane. So complete waste of time. But what they've done is, though, they've increased the congestion now in the town, so that cars, instead of having 2 lanes, they've only got 1 lane, or instead of 3 lanes, they've only got 2 lanes, which means you get more cars waiting. Cars waiting are producing more noxious gases. So now, suddenly, out of nowhere, oh, how did this happen? We've got a slight problem with the air not being as clean as it was. Amazing, isn't it? Who'd have thought such a thing? And I just personally think it's deliberate. And I've said this before, that not just the council but the government and everyone else are trying to keep us in our boxes. By our boxes I mean back in the day 200-300 years ago, you were born in a village, you grew up in the village, you went to school in the village, you got married in the village, you had kids in the village, you died in the village, you were buried in the village. What they're doing now is coming up with these 15-minute zones, which are basically the new village, and everything you need is within your zone, and it's 15 minutes away from your house. So you don't need to travel anywhere else. Why would you? And if you do, you can do it so many times in your car, but if you do it more than that time, you're going to get charged just for going around your business. So again, if you're a van driver or a handyman, you can only repair vehicle, you can only do jobs in your zone or village. And I've said before, why don't they just brick up our front doors, put a hole in leave a hole, and then just feed us food? Because that's what I think they want us to do. And I'm saying no to this. It's an absolute joke. We need people in power who've actually got some kahunas to stop all this and to give people our freedom back. Oh, we've got loads of stuff going on. And yet, hey ho, plantations, we are so lucky. Yeah, there's loads of them. Andy Burnham loves bike lanes and low emission zones. He does indeed. Cycle lanes, Smiley Mac, party things. When do you think the demolition building finishes? It's got to be done by the end of September, the gallery's demolition. If you watch Wigan Watch, which is a blog I do, watching the destruction of Wigan Town Centre and hopefully the rebuild of Wigan Town Centre and the reimagination of Wigan Town Centre, then watch that. But no, and as for electric cars, Smiley Mac, I think you said that to wind me up, and it's worked. You've wound me up. Electric cars are not the future. Basic breakdown. You've got to get all the precious metals out of the ground, using sometimes child labour in some countries. You've then got to ship them around the world to the battery factories, where they are then encased in other metals and plastics with chemicals which are very noxious. You've then got to put cabling around the entire planet to charge up these vehicles. So you've got copper cabling, so you need shed loads more copper than we've probably ever had before, and that comes out of the ground. You've then got to wrap it in plastic, so you've got the core, you've got the plastic going around the core, you've then got copper going around that, and you've got plastic going around that as well. Not environmentally friendly. You've then got to dig up roads and pavements and things like that, so you're digging up macadam, which you can't recycle, and so that goes into landfill. You then have to put new macadam down over that, so that's the tarmac is made of the oil, so that's not environmentally friendly. You then have to build the charging points, but hang on a minute, we haven't got enough power to do that, so you need to build more power stations. Again, not environmentally friendly because of all the concrete and everything else, and you're going to have to build excessive amounts to keep all these cars charged, not just in the UK, all over the world. Then, when your battery runs out on your car, because it will do, what do? I think Tesla have a way of taking the battery out and putting a new battery in, but most cars don't. Do you just throw the car away? And even if you don't do that, even if you do take the battery away, you've got to destroy it. How the hell are you going to do that? It's full of noxious chemicals which have now corroded all the metal inside there. You've got to safely take it all apart and dispose of it in a safe manner, which is nigh on impossible. Not environmentally friendly. And then you've got the weight of the cars. So these cars weigh considerably more than your average road car. So they are going to damage the tarmac more, particularly if there's a pothole or anything like that, because they're going to be deeper in there. It's going to be like driving a van over them all the time. It's also going to wear down your tyres quicker as well. A lot of people have said since they've had electric cars they've had to change the tyres more often. That's probably also got something to do with the torque, because the wheels, when you accelerate, there's more grip. That would wear the rubber down quicker as well, but the weight has something to do with that. So you've got all this rubber coming out off these tyres, which is going into the environment. That's not environmentally friendly. The whole thing is not environmentally friendly. We are being hoodwinked into this, and I'm saying no. There is an environmentally friendly way of doing this. We've already got petrol stations. They can be converted. Some cars can be converted. The thing we need to do is figure out how to do green hydrogen. What we do is we give them a brownfield site, Angela. You know what they are now. So say, for example, the steelworks on the north coast near Skegness that have just been demolished. So give Toyota that site and say, right, this is yours, and we want you to develop hydrogen, liquid hydrogen, so that we can power cars. The only emission that you're going to get out of that is going to be water. Making it, okay, it's expensive, but that's because you're only making a little bit at the minute. If you're making as much as we are in oil and petrol, it's going to come down in price. If anything, it's going to be cheaper than actual petrol. it's just insane that people think electric cars are the right way forward. And I've noticed at the corner of my eye, it's been going with people arguing with me. So let's have a look. Oh, it's not that bad actually. What happens if it's not? I don't know. Copper cabling will get rid of our copper coins. Yeah, they should do more wind turbines. How they deliver them looks fun. Yeah, we saw that last week, didn't we? Already at least 20 years behind in UK in regards to nuclear power and all that jazz. But no, it's right. Wind power, again, wind power is a complete waste of time. You've got to build these things. These things are huge. So how much metal do they take? How much power does it take to actually make one blade on a wind turbine, which you then have to transport to the site? You then have to build a massive tower out of metal, because plastic it won't be strong enough for the stresses and everything. And you build 50 to 100 of these. You build them in the sea. Eventually you get a big crane to hoist the things up. So you've got your 3 blades on there. You've got all the mechanisms inside each one of them, all of which are full of copper, plastics and other metals as well. Then you've got to cable each one individually to the main thing, so that's more copper, either via the sea or underneath the land, and then it's not windy, so you get nothing out of it. What is the point? In the UK, okay, it's a bit windier than most other countries, but wind power is not the future, and solar power is not the future either, because in winter time it's dark. You know, getting on for 18 hours a day. What is the point of all these wind farms, solar farms? You've got me ranting. Stop it. Just send someone up there to manually spin it. I got a lesson today. Star pupil me. Apple for teacher. I'll tell you, for the parliament of the world can help. Yeah, that is a good point, Deno. But no, it's, you know, the whole thing is a joke. Yeah, you made me rant twice now, Smiley Mac. I'm not happy. Well, yeah, I like a rant, I'll be honest with you. Anyway, that was Friday, which brings us nicely to today, which is, of course, Saturday. Hi, T, if you're on, by the way. I might forget later on, so hi, T, if you're on. Hope you're well. So, Saturday. Water power is fun. You see, now water power I can go for. If you have they've done it in a few places, like a corkscrew. And the water goes down a chute into this corkscrew, and it spins this corkscrew round, and that produces electricity. And 99.9% of the time there's water flowing. Even in winter, running foot water generally doesn't freeze. So that would be 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Like I said before, solar power, complete waste of time. When is most electricity needed? When it's dark, because we need to turn our lights on. Street lights, shop lights, house lights. Yeah, absolute waste of space. All this nonsense. Rant. Anyway, Saturday. Oh my God. RMT on strike. Rant. Rant. The world's moved on, RMT. Just to let you know. Thank God you weren't in charge in the turn of the last century, or certainly halfway through the last century, when we went to diesel, because if you had it your way, there would still be people shoving coal into steam engines, because people wouldn't, you don't want people to lose their jobs. There's closing ticket offices now. Everyone's going mad about this, but there are ticket machines at train stations that you can actually buy a ticket for. It's not just online. So if you haven't got access to the internet, you can still buy tickets. And the person who's in the ticket office isn't getting laid off or fired. They're getting moved out of the ticket office because they're no longer needed in there, because they don't sell enough tickets to pay their wages. They're going to be outside helping people. So they can direct people, they can add to the, you know, if there's any problems, they can help. But they can also help people with these automatic machines. So if your granddad's going there, and he's like 87 and has got no idea how a machine works, the ticket office person who used to be in the ticket office can show them what to do, or do it for them, and they get the ticket. There's no problem. Things move on. It won't be that long, I would imagine, before we have driverless trains. I've said this before, we've already got it on the Jubilee line in London. Is it that the one? Or is it the Millennium line? It's one of them anyway. No drivers on it. It's all done by computer. and they'll do that nationally as well. It's going to happen. We just have to get used to this, unfortunately. Archimedes Screw, that's the one, Foxstar. Solar power is better than electric cars in certain ways. Boo trains. The issue is they are cash free. Yeah, well, yeah. Drivers of the trains will finish with the delays. Yeah, problem is the ticket machines don't work half the time and the attendants are only at a station for an hour. There used to be pride in our railways. Docklands driverless, there you go, Docklands. I knew it was somewhere down near the river, which is why I said Millennium, you see, because of the Millennium thingamabob. Oh, my things froze. Oh, there we go, we're back on again. Whew. Whew. Tragedy overnight. A scooter driver was killed in a collision in Barnsley with an ambulance which was on an emergency call. Looking from that picture there, looks like the ambulance has pulled out of a give way, and the scooter motorbike has crashed into it, and the rider was taken to hospital, but sadly didn't make it. Inquiries ongoing. That only happened late last night. And in Liverpool, pride marches being held for those in Ukraine. Liverpool seems to have adopted itself as being the new Ukraine, which is probably a very dangerous thing to do if you think about it. But nice that they are doing stuff on behalf of Ukraine, as long as that's what they're doing it for. I'm just, yeah, not happy. What happens if the driver doesn't turn up to the driverless ones? Well, there you go then. Was he taken in that ambulance, or did he need to wait for another one? It'd be another one. It'd be another one, because that ambulance had been involved in a crash. It would have to stay where it was. Which is why it's on the picture, I think. Anyway, that is it for our weekly look at that part of the news. But now we've got Angela's favourite bit, which is Meanwhile in America. What's going on in America? Let's see what's going on in America. We're going to look at America, because it's all going off in America. So yeah, the first story is actually a nice story, and a bit weird as well, because one would assume of all the species of animals to sex correctly, a gorilla would be one of the easiest ones, due to the fact that they don't wear any clothes, and they are very similar in physique to humans. However, Ohio Sue thinks a gorilla is a boy until he gives birth. Official zoos in Ohio were in quite a shock when a gorilla who they thought was a male gave birth. Sully, not to be confused with the airplane pilot, who has lived at the zoo since 2019, was believed to be a boy up till Thursday, when zookeepers saw the ape holding her newborn baby. The Columbus Zoo announced in a press release the 8-year-old gorilla felt pregnant back in fall, and zookeepers believe and the new mum is taking good care of her newborn girl. Yeah, it's now I'm not an expert in physics, but it's you're wicked a zoo, for God's sake. The thing's been there since 2019. That's 4 years. You can clearly see, if you go to a zoo, whether you're looking at a boy or a girl gorilla or a chimpanzee or whatever, because you can see the area. And if there's nothing there, generally it's a girl. I mean, my excuse is it's just, you know, things just don't develop as you would expect or hope. But yeah, it's madness. And one would assume as well over time they do blood tests and things like that. Hi Kim, welcome. Staten Island eyes joining New Jersey in legal fight to block congestion pricing. Basically, New York is going down the same route as London, and most of the outlying areas are not happy about this. Now, we know already that New York is a dangerous place to be, particularly for the stray bullets that seem to be flying around everywhere. But also because of the traffic that is in the city. It's quicker to walk than it is to actually get in a vehicle and go somewhere, and it's certainly a lot quicker to use the subway, although obviously the conditions in the subway are not great, and obviously a lot of strap handles handlers, and various other people have been attacked, stabbed, and all that kind of thing on the subway. So maybe it's not somewhere you really want to go, particularly if you're going out in the sticks. So anyway, they've come up with this idea now to ease congestion by having this brilliant idea of a congestion charge, but they're calling it congestion pricing. And the idea is to free up the traffic so that vehicles can move around easier, and vehicles that don't qualify for whatever standards they've come up with would be charged for using the roads on a regular basis. And what they want to do is to expand it to Staten Island. The clue's in the name, Staten Island. You need a ferry to get there. Why the hell are they including that in this? Because it's a money-making thing, and they want you back in your box. It's not just here, it's all over the world. I don't think New York and London should be the same. London is better without legal guns. Well, London's got legal guns, but much fewer. I think it's fair to say. At least I obviously got they have anyway. Nova Scotia floods cause unimaginable damage. 4 people missing. As I said before, some parts of America have been burning, and other parts are flooded, which is basically what Wigan looked like fairly recently as well. Pay to get there and pay to be there, yeah. So bringing back what was removed in 19... There's a lot of stuff that bringing back. It seems that celebrities that rant about the climate are the only ones allowed to travel, but not us who pay them and make them rich. Yeah, you're right. A £150 statue and other items stolen from Beetlejuice 2 set in Vermont. Police are searching for those responsible for stealing a £150 statue and other items from the set of the highly anticipated Beetlejuice 2 film in Vermont. Police said they received reports of 2 strange and unusual incidents from the East Conrath filming site, which included the theft of a large skeletal statue and a lamppost with a distinctive pumpkin decoration on top of it. Beetlejuice is one of them films that I just hated. People love it, and I'm like, no, I had to watch it, and it's like, oh, Beetlejuice. For God's sake, I'm not watching Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice, no, Beetlejuice. Anyway, they're making a second one. Yippee bloody do. It seems that, oh yeah, we've done that one. Yeah, and people have stole stuff from the set. I would assume because they've stopped filming because of the strike. Universal hit with $250 fine for trimming trees that striking writers and actors used for shade. This is genius. Universal Pictures Studios have been slapped with a... Now this is Universal Studios stroke Pictures, multi-million-dollar company, has been slapped with a $250 fine. Not 250,000, not 2,500. No, just $250 fine for trimming trees that provided shade to the WGA workers striking in the Southern Californian heat, according to officials. So basically, you got the strikers out with the placards and all that, and obviously there's a heat wave going on in this part of America, so they're all hiding under the trees for the shade, so they're a bit cooler. So the studios have come out and trimmed all the trees, which I think, yeah, a $250 fine. That'll teach them, won't it? They won't do that again. They'll go back next week, there'll be no trees there. Oregon hospital on lockdown after reports of shooting with suspect on the loose. Stay alert. So a shooter going around a hospital in Oregon. Awful. Find the cost of a pint of milk. What, $250 for a pint of milk? Probably is in America, to be fair. 4 men shot, 1 fatally in clash outside New York City lounge, the cops say. 4 men were shot, 1 fatally during a fight that spilled out of a Bronx lounge early on Monday morning. The gunfire broke out at 2:45 AM during the clash near Karma restaurant. Kama restaurant, not Karma. That would be ironic. On East Burnside Avenue. 34-year-old man was pronounced dead at the scene. At least 4 people missing after storm of a lifetime sweeps through southeast Canada. So Canada as well having horrendous weather. Now Canada is known for its horrendous weather. But yeah, they've had slow-moving torrential rain which has swelled the rivers and washed away bridges and roads, and sadly people have passed away. A Texas plane crashes into two-storey Georgetown home, only injuring 3 people, which is a miracle. A small plane crashed on a Texas home on Sunday afternoon, authorities said. The 2-storey home in Georgetown was vacant at the time of the crash, which happened shortly before noon. All 3 people aboard the small plane were taken to a local hospital. They're trying to get the plane, well, they were trying to get the plane off the house. But yeah, who thought landing on a house would be the safest way of doing it? Cops looking for a gunman accused of fatally shooting innocent 15-year-old boy in Brooklyn. Police have identified the gunman suspected of killing a 15-year-old boy who was an innocent bystander in broad daylight shooting in Brooklyn last week. Now, we reported on this last week, and yeah, they've got a suspect for it now. Luke, maybe they should say guns cause pollution. People seem to make changes if you mention that. That's brilliant, because, yeah, you fire it out, the spark and from the gunpowder or whatever they use these days, that's going to cause a gas to go into the atmosphere. You've then got the actual bullet itself, and if it doesn't hit its target and then is retrieved, it could land anywhere and litter. So yeah, it's a good point, well made. It's a plain thing, Donnie Darko. I'm not sure, Deno, because I've never seen Johnny Darko. Human remains found in multiple suitcases in Florida and Texas over 2 days. Human remains were found discarded in luggage in separate incidents in Florida and Texas last week. Yeah, horrific. That's how stray bullets are born. Oh, God. I've asked for this, haven't I? New York City to open latest migrant mega shelter at Creedmoor Psychiatric Centre. Look at the size of that building. We think we've got a problem with migrants. The Big Apple is opening yet another large-scale migrant shelter in the Creedmoor Psychiatric Centre in Queens as the city scrambles to find space for the influx of asylum seekers continuing to pour in. Mayor Adams's administration said the city's newest humanitarian emergency response and relief centre will be constructed in the parking lot of the state-owned psychiatric. Oh, right, so it's not actually the building itself. It's in the car park. I was going to say, how many people are they expecting? That's like the psychiatric, sounds like somewhere Trump should go. Very good, Smiley Mac. A ship carrying nearly 3,000 cars catches fire, possibly due to electric vehicle. Sadly, 1 person has died. A fire blazed on a ship off the Dutch coast with nearly 3,000 vehicles on board, killing 1 member of the crew and injuring several others. The fire began on Tuesday night on the 199-metre Panama-registered Fremantle Highway, which was en route from Germany to Egypt, forcing several crew members to jump overboard. The problem you have with electric cars is, there's so many, that if there's a problem with one of the cells in the car, because it's not one battery, it's lots of little batteries all stuck together with loads of copper. If there's a short on there or something and that catches fire, it then starts a chain reaction all the way through all the other batteries, which explode individually, which causes a massive fire. So if you have a pile up on the M6, for example, with a load of Tesla cars, and one of the batteries is damaged and then starts a fire, you've basically closed that motorway for a week, because you can't go near it, you can't pour water on it. The fire engines are going to have special equipment to do that, but they can't use anything with water in it, because water reacts to an electric fire from a lithium battery very, very badly indeed. So yeah. Electric cars stopped his future. Well, that's a bit... The big question is, a car park or a barge, which would you rather be housed in? I'd say a barge, because at least you know that you've got a solid roof over you and solid walls. I could imagine this car park thing will be basically a tent. An electric car that wanted to help. Imagine electrical cars on the back Back to the Future. Barge, at least it's not in America. That's also a good point as well. But ideally, shouldn't even be over here. Just send them straight back. If If you deliberately got rid of, I've said this before, but if you deliberately got rid of your documents, you know that you've got little chance of legally entering a country. So you have no documents when you arrive, then you immediately get sent back to the last country you were at, which is France. We've no agreement to do that, but we do it anyway because we pay them millions to stop people coming over in the first place. So we return them back. If they kick up a fuss, we charge them $10,000 for every person we send back. 10,000 euros, sorry, for every person we send back. If I was fleeing this country, for example, so say for example, I don't know, there was a military coup, or maybe the Russians were after me. Wow. I had a genuine reason to leave the country, not because I'd committed a crime and I was trying to escape justice. A genuine reason to leave. I would have my documents with me at all times. I would even probably, if I could, cellophane them or cling film them to my body, so that if anything went wrong and people found me, at least they'd be able to identify me. If I got to a safe country, so say for example that was France, I would say, look, these are all my documents, I have a legal reason to be here, this is the situation I've come from, blah de blah de blah, and hopefully you get sorted out quicker. Whereas if you deliberately destroy your documents, either by chucking them on a fire when you're in Calais on the beach, or chuck them into the channel while you're on the boat, then you know you're not legally allowed to be here. So you just get sent straight back. And that's the only way to stop the boats. And I don't believe in housing anyone in hotels. I don't believe in housing anyone in migrant shelters or anything like that. If you've got a legitimate reason to be here, you should have your documents with you. It's not a case of, my documents, I got rid of them when I was on the channel because blah blah blah. There's no excuse for that. If you've got your documents with you when you leave, then you should have your documents with you when you arrive here. Anyway, rant number 5. Meanwhile, shocking moment, a burning New York City crane collapses onto the street. I've seen the footage of this and it's pretty scary. Dramatic footage captures the moment a Manhattan construction crane buckled under the intense flames as a plume of black smoke could be seen billowing out of the machine near Hudson Yards. The crane, stationed 45 stories high, falls forward, striking another building across the street and shattering parts of itself and sending debris flying below. Yeah, absolutely horrendous. I don't think anyone died. I think initially it said someone did die, but then I think they said no one did die. But there's more about the crane, as we can see. Company involved in New York City crane collapse is tied to previous disasters and is known as the Shady King of Crane. The company that owns the crane that caught fire and partially collapsed in Hell's Kitchen Wednesday, injuring 6 people, was founded by shady construction magnate and self-proclaimed King of Cranes, whose machines were involved in 2 deadly incidents more than a decade ago. So basically they've got a history of not having well-maintained cranes. Now, cranes are run, I assume they're run by electricity, because you wouldn't be able to get diesel up there or anything like that, so I assume electricity, which means you've got all the electricity motors up there. You may have batteries up there, battery backup and that kind of thing. So there is a possibility of electrical fires in cranes. It's not something that happens very often, but apparently this company's had a few of them over the years. Bad history, let's hire them. Yeah, exactly. I haven't said that, what can we say? I mean, you know, human rights abuses, human rights atrocities, threatening innocent domains, innocent democracies. I'll tell you what, let's hire China to build our town centre. You know, we can't say anything, can we? Biden falsely claims we ended cancer in the latest bizarre gaffe. President Biden was mocked by critics after he claimed to have ended cancer as we know it during remarks on Tuesday. Biden made the misstatement during a White House speech about expanding access to mental health treatment. I said I'd cure cancer, he claimed. They looked at me like, why cancer? Because no one thinks we can. That's why, and we can. We ended cancer as we know it. Yeah, he's his same pair of hands to run America, isn't he? Biden has a hidden intelligence. I don't know about a hidden cure, because we're not seeing his intelligence, are we? UFO whistleblowers to testify unknown objects are far superior to US tech. 3 witnesses who were set to appear on Wednesday morning before the House Oversight Subcommittee on National Security, the Border and Foreign Affairs, that's a hell of a mouthful, isn't it, are expected to testify that the United States government should share information and intelligence it has with the American people concerning unidentified aerial phenomena, which are now called UAPs, previously known as unidentified flying objects. So we've changed the name now to an unidentified aerial phenomena. So if you say UFO, you are a dinosaur. You are out of date. But of course none of it exists. Fruit Loop. It's not a term I'm familiar with, but we'll go with Fruit Loop. Meghan Markle, Prince Harry risk humiliation if they ever decide to return to royal life, says an expert. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry risk humiliation if they ever decide to rejoin the royal family in the UK, according to a royal expert. Royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliam told GB News that the prospect of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex return to the monarchy as a working members would be a bizarre move considering the damage they have done. I mean, you don't need to be an expert to do that. I could be an acclaimed expert and say that. But let's be honest, Camilla was hated by everyone in the country. And now she's only hated by about 75% of the country for what she did. So, you know, there's some forgiveness somewhere. McDonald's franchise in Louisiana and Texas hired minors to work illegally, Labour Department finds. Yeah, apparently they had the plastic hats on with the little hats, but the faces were dirty and they were covered in dust. And that's not right in a food restaurant. You want people who are clean and hygienic and not blinding you every time you serve it because they got the bloody torch on. So yeah, imagine hiring minors, McDonald's. Last week you were being berated for people being bullied in your stores, and now you're hiring minors who are so unhygienic, it's unbelievable. Send them back to the mines. Poor people don't know how to cook. They need to get caught. Exactly. We need to keep the world going. 4-year-old and adult grazed by stray bullets in Upper West Side shooting. A 4-year-old child and an adult were grazed by bullets when they were apparently caught in the crossfire of an Upper West Side gunfight, sources said. The youngster was struck in the leg and the adult was hit in the foot when the gunfire erupted at 12:25 a.m. Now, what's a 4-year-old doing out at 12:25 a.m? But to be fair, that's minor considered to the fact that the kid got shot in the leg. It says grazed, but he got hit in the leg. I mean, what do they call a graze? A graze to me is if you rub against some concrete and you get a little bit of a rash on your skin that might bleed a little bit. That's a graze. If you get a bullet in your leg, that is not a graze. That is a bullet hole. But anyway, they were grazed and it was a stray bullet. So, no harm done. It's America. They don't care. Let's be honest. Yeah, stray bullets we were talking about before. Do they send in budgies every morning before they enter the kitchen to make sure there's no gas leaks? No, to be fair, they just send in the pigeons because there's plenty of them around, isn't there? Genius. Someone put a knife in me, I'm lightly grazed. Yeah, exactly. Biden says over 100 Americans have died from COVID in latest blunder. So Biden says over 100 people have died, Americans have died from COVID in the latest blunder. And you're like, what, in the last 24 hours? Sounds about right, to be fair, because people are dying still from COVID. We know that. We just don't talk about it anymore. But Biden does because he thinks it's important. Oh, hang on a minute. No. What he actually meant was, in yet another embarrassing slip-up, President Biden accidentally provided a lowball estimate of COVID-19's death toll, saying over 100 Americans have died from the disease since it emerged over 3 years ago. The gaffe was corrected by a White House spokesman who said what he should have said is over 1 million people have died in America from COVID. But to be fair, he wasn't inaccurate because over 1 million people is categorically over 100 people. So technically, he was right. Slightly underestimated the thing, but he was right. So you can't criticise him from that. Even if he said more than one person has died from COVID, he'd have been right because more than one person has died from COVID. So I don't think you should berate him for this one because it was an accurate statement. Yeah, right. I just can't get over how tight Biden's face is. Yeah, it's plastic surgery. Poor guy should retire. He's standing again. KFC is pretty much KFP, ketamine fried pigeon now. Foxstar, you're evil. I was thinking of going back to KFC, but maybe not now. Let's have a look at a hunk, shall we? We need a hunk. After Biden's tight face, let's look at a tight body. JFK posts a shirtless snap of stud son Connor amid COVID comment backlash. So, you get criticised for saying last week that this is a guy who wants to be president of America, that COVID was genetically modified, or was that effect? So it only affected the Jews. No, it didn't affect the Jews, and it didn't affect certain people. It was racially profiled virus. Gets ridiculed for it. So he then decides to post a picture with his hunky son with no top on. Well, that clears it up, doesn't it? Over 10 people are subscribed to Weld. Yeah. Oh. This six-pack is a 10 out of 10 distraction. Exactly. He's just done it as a distraction. Not even a six-pack, I'll be honest with you. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has shared a shirtless photo of his hunky son, Connor, amid ongoing backlash over his controversial COVID-19 comments. The 69-year-old Democrat, whose bid for president has been blasted by members of his own family as an embarrassment, bear in mind this is the Kennedys, managed to divert attention away from his off-colour remarks with a steamy stap with his son. It's like, yeah, that's going to work. Oh, he's got a hot son, has he? Well, I'll tell you what, he can say what he wants about COVID because his son is hot. I don't think it works like that. I don't think it does, and I don't think it's even that hot. Not that I'm an expert on these things. Are people ever without their phones? No, definitely not. A driver crashes off a 400-foot California cliff and gets rescued thanks to his iPhone giving an alert. A man who drove off a 400-foot cliff was saved after his iPhone alerted the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department about the crash. First responders received a message at the driver's iPhone at 10:30 p.m. on Friday, informing them that he had crashed off the Mount Wilson Road near the Angeles National Forest. The man, who was not been publicly identified, was found less than 20 minutes later, ejected from his vehicle, and he lived, taken to hospital. So his iPhone saved him. No one would have known about the crash if it wasn't for his iPhone. So iPhones, yeah, I think mine's got that kind of sensor in it as well. If it senses G-force, it sends a signal or something. I don't know. Tucked into his shorts. Oh, I didn't look at his shorts. Maybe he shouldn't have drove off. Yeah, well, obviously, Smiley Mac. Isn't that hot? Very little compared to Morrison's. Oh, for God's sake. Russia advances measured to draft 30-year-olds into the military. Russia moves to force men as old as 30, Jesus, to join the military in its unprovoked invasion of Ukraine, as its unprovoked invasion of Ukraine entered its 18th month. The warring country's lower house of parliament approved a bill that extended the upper age limit for its mandatory military draft to 30 from 27 years old. So basically, everyone under 27 now has either been injured or killed, so they're now going to the 30-year-olds. And remember, we said last week, they're training people up to the age of 70 how to use guns, munitions, and that kind of thing as well. Yeah, that's what I was on about, yeah. Some folks' iPhones used to call the cops after going on a roller coaster since the emergency system was way too paranoid. Yeah, it gives you, I think it gives an alarm out to the phone. It gives an alarm out, like a beep that you would notice. And it says, do I need to call an emergency service? And if you click it off, it won't call it. But obviously if you're injured or incapacitated or whatever, then you just let it go, and it'll ring up the emergency services and give a GPS as to where you are, which is, I think, is a good thing, to be fair. But obviously if you're on a roller coaster, then maybe not so. But no, it's a good idea. It's definitely a good idea. Although one would also think that if the GPS says, emergency at a roller coaster, you'd be like, kind of thing. Did Simpsons predict Twitter X's new logo? The world's reacting to Elon Musk's decision to rebrand Twitter by replacing the famous bluebird logo with an X. It's the culmination I don't know, of Musk's obsession with the 24th letter of the alphabet, which started in 1999 when he founded X.com, the precursor to PayPal. The X.com domain now redirects to Twitter. Earlier this year, it emerged that Twitter's parent company had been renamed X Corporation. The shift of the new logo started overnight. The website now displays an X, but the mobile app still has the bird. And last time I looked, it still had the bird as well. So let's have a look. Yeah, apparently I'm live on YouTube. It's my blooper alert. Let's have a look. Twitter is... Oh! Breaking news. Breaking news, folks. My Twitter has got the X on it. It won't focus on it. Or if it does, it won't focus on me. But yeah, it's got the X on it. So you can read that, can't you? Twitter X. So check your phones, folks, if you've got Twitter. If you go onto Twitter, yeah. If you go on the top, it says X on my Twitter stream. Not that I go on it very often now. Alright. So yeah, all good. Well, who knew? Foxstar, yours is an X. 21 we discovered this. And 1 hour 21 minutes into the broadcast as well. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. So it's 21:21. We discovered it, and it's 1 hour and 21 minutes into the broadcast. Oh, Luke is still the bird. Did Simpsons predict it, or did Elon copied it? Saying crap, just a letter. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Yeah, so the bird's gone. I'm actually quite gutted about the bird going. The world is reacting to Elon Musk's decision to rebrand Twitter by replacing blah blah blah. The shift to the new logo started overnight. Oh yeah, but the mobile app now has the X. Yeah, or rather no. So you're not tweeting anymore now. So what does it say then? It still says tweet. So if I want to, can't see that. Hang on. Click on OK. So if I want to write anything, it still says tweet. Again, it's not focusing, but you can roughly read it. It says tweet. So yeah, turns out the bird's not the word. Hey, the good news is the bird's looking for a new job. McDonald's have hired miners, so we can send the bird into the McDonald's kitchens to check for gas leaks. Problem solved. You're now Xing. Are we? Well, I'm not, because I don't really use it very often. I'll be honest with you. But anyway, yeah, there you go. Or zing or Xing. Zing or zing X. Yeah. It's not a Z though, is it? No, it's very complicated. What are the chances though? 21, 21, 21, 21. Oh my word. Arg. Arg. Just stay indoors, New York City, preparing for year's first official heat wave. Looks like the guy's having a pee. Sat down. That's very dangerous. The Big Apple is about to get baked and battered by an oppressive humidity. The New York City is poised for its first official heat wave of the summer. So yeah, going to be 90 degrees. And get a fur pie. Oh yes, feather pie. I want to get a feather. Just stay indoors, you'll be charged if you're out anyway. Yeah, that is good. It's going to get facial recognition. Like, oh, you walk down that street. Well, you're not allowed to walk down the street more than 20 times a year. That's your 31st time, so you owe us £5,000. A 10-year-old boy detained after shooting at cops during a SWAT standoff. A 10-year-old Chicago boy in mental distress, got hold of an unsecured gun inside his home and shot at police officers during a SWAT standoff, according to officials. The pint-sized gunman was taken into custody and transported to a hospital for evaluation after the incident. Yeah, again though, how are kids been able to get hold of guns? Unsecured, oh that's alright then. No, it's not alright. Boy 17 shot while sitting in car. A 17-year-old boy was shot as he sat inside a car in Brooklyn on Tuesday. The teen was a backseat passenger of a vehicle at 12:30 a.m. when a bullet flew into the car and struck him in the back. He was taken in a private vehicle means to Kings County Hospital, where he was listed in stable condition. So basically, I assume the driver of the car took him. But yeah, it's normal in America, so let's not worry about it, eh? No, let's worry about it a lot. It's not right. Just saying those 10 years old plus gun equals America, yeah. When would a gun not be secure? When it's, you can pick it up and just walk around it. Well, will that give the US government time to change their cash to card to keep an eye on their spending? No. Royal family warned to keep Prince George away from Prince Harry. Allegedly, to be an expert, I bet. Prince William and Princess Catherine have been strongly advised to keep their eldest son, Prince George, away from his uncle, Prince Harry. The Duke of Sussex's former biographer, Angela Levin, made the stern warning to the royals in a desperate bid to keep George, the second in line to the throne, from walking a similar path to Harry. Yeah. I thought they'd keep him away from Andrew more than Harry. Smiley Mike. Yeah, you're right though. How to get out of jail or prison? Easy. Oh no, not this one. An Arizona woman died after her power was cut over a $51 debt that forced utilities to change. Stephanie Pullman died on a sweltering Arizona day after electricity was cut off because of a $51 debt. 5 years later, the 72-year-old story remains at the heart of efforts to prevent others in Arizona from having their power cut off, leaving them without life-saving air conditioning in temperatures that have toppled 110 degrees in recent days. Yeah, it's, you know, in places like that, I mean, we do it for heating. You know, our elderly freeze to death. But in America and Arizona, they literally boil to death in their own houses. Trader Joe's recalls signature almond cookies because they may contain rocks. Like, WTF. Trader Joe's recalled 2 kinds of its signature almond cookies last week over concerns they may contain rocks. The recalled treats of the almond windmill cookies and dark chocolate chunk and almond cookies, with sell-by dates between October 19th to 21st and October 17th to 21 respectively, the grocery chains announced on Friday all the products potentially impacted by the risk have been removed from the shelves, and they are advising people to go back. And you're like, the dates are October for cookies? I mean, how much preservative do they have in them? Jesus Christ. I was thinking initially that, you know, they'd all been eaten by now. And, darn it, I broke my tooth on that cookie. You know, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, watch out for rocks. Never mind contaminants of normal, like glass, plastic, that kind of thing. No, in America, we put rocks in our food. Yeah, rock cakes, very good, smiley back. Kansas woman killed by grizzly at Yellowstone. She was an avid hiker and died doing what she loved. No, she didn't. She died terrified because she was being mauled by a grizzly bear. And the reason she was being mauled by a grizzly bear, because she was in its territory and probably accidentally spooked the thing, and of course it did what it would do, protect possibly its young. If you're going to die, you don't die unexpectedly doing something you love. If you could bring her back and say, did you die doing something you loved? You'd be like, I didn't want to die. There's no such thing as doing something you loved. It just doesn't happen. She was mauled to death, tragically, by a grizzly bear. Sorry. She died playing with a bear, yes. It's like going to sleep in a blender. Oh. Thank you, Deno. It's an image we didn't need, but thank you. Meanwhile, Indiana woman rescued from storm drain after police spot hand sticking up through a manhole. Now, you can't call them manhole anymore, they are ironworks. An Indiana woman in her 50s was plucked out of a storm drain after rescuers noticed her finger sticking out through the ground level grates. Officers from the police department bike unit were on patrol in Indianapolis when they stumbled upon the bewildering sight shortly before 3 p.m. And they got her out, and yeah, she's out. That's about it, really. If someone loves sleeping and that's how they go, technically they died doing what they loved. Yeah, I suppose. Anyway, naked woman opens fire on a busy Californian bridge. Why wouldn't you? A naked woman in California got out of her car on one of the nation's busiest bridges and began opening fire on Tuesday. The bizarre scene unfolded during rush hour in the San Francisco Oakland Bay Bridge, according to the California Highway Patrol. A driver called 911 to report that another driver had brandished a gun at them, and she was completely naked. I mean, it's hot in America, so you can kind of understand that, don't you? I know a lot of, when it's over 40 degrees over here, a lot of shops have signs up saying no shirt, no service, generally aimed at blokes. Whereas I'd have a sign up saying no shit. Well, it's hot, isn't it? But yeah, being completely naked with a gun is probably not a good idea. Yes, Luke. New York Police Department station house evacuated after 72-year-old man shows up with a rusted grenade and a gun. New York Police Department station house was evacuated when a 72-year-old man showed up holding a rusted gun and a grenade. The senior appeared to the 107th Precinct headquarters in Queens at 10:15 a.m. with the decaying weapons in tow. I think he was actually trying to return them, but probably better to not. Something out of Saints Row, naked and shooting at a gun. Where did she was in a car, Smiley Mac. She got out of a car, so I imagine she had it on a seat in a car. A 5-year-old who shot and killed baby brother was on cocaine, while deadly toddler had marijuana in the system. The 5-year-old Indiana boy who shot dead his baby brother was high on cocaine at the time, while the dead toddler had marijuana in their system, according to prosecutors. If you remember last week, we were talking about this, a 5-year-old shooting his brother. But yeah, he was on cocaine and his brother was on, marijuana. What a fantastic family that is. And they leave a gun out as well. I mean, you know. That doesn't make it okay. No, smelling like. Worst injury from New York City crane collapse was passerby's minor cut to the head. Extremely fortunate. You can say that again. If a crane lands on your head and all you get is a minor cut, I think that's a piggy miracle. I would buy one of those Powerball lottery tickets because it's over $1 billion at the moment. I think you're definitely going to win. Moment Amazon delivery man dives into customer's pool fully clothed. You're like, what? An Amazon delivery driver found an unusual way to beat the Southern California heat by diving fully clothed into a customer's pool. The driver headfirst dive was captured on the homeowner's security camera on June the 30th, according to the video. The recording has since made quite the splash on local media. To be fair, it was invited. The local homeowner had left a note on the door saying, appreciate what you're doing, appreciate you're in a van, you'll be incredibly hot, if you want to jump into our pool, feel free. And he did, and fair play to him. What he didn't realise was he was being filmed. Maybe they thought he might strip off. No, he'd been given permission, Smiley Mac. So there you go. A cut to the head, yes. A cut to the head from being hit on the head by a crane. Yeah, lovely. North Korea. Amazon can't get to my door, let alone the deep puddle in my garden. Billions of dollars, but pay $600 million in taxes. Oh yeah, Yeah, he had permission, Smiley Mike. North Korea's Kim Jong-un shows off banned missiles to Russian minister. Hey, this man can't get any stupider. Russia's defence minister accompanied North Korean leader Kim Jong-un on the defence exhibition that featured the North's banned ballistic missiles as the neighbours pledged to boost ties. I think Russia needs North Korea more than North Korea needs Russia, which is scary because they're both insane mad people who run the countries. 13-year-old James Yablonsky, missing for more than a month, may be trying to live off the grid in Wisconsin. The worried father of the 13-year-old boy who disappeared more than a month ago in a possible attempt to survive off the grid plans to mortgage his home in order to offer a cash reward for his safe return. He's offering a $10,000 reward for tips that bring his son James home after the child ran away and hasn't been seen since. I mean, living off the grid is alright, but if you're a 13-year-old boy, I don't think you've got the immunities and the abilities to do that. I hope he's okay, and I hope he's fine, and I hope he's well, and I hope he's doing that. But I fear not. He's now suing the homeowner for invading his privacy. Yeah, everyone sues everyone else in there. Anyway. Operator of crane that collapsed on New York City street was involved in the 2008 fatal accident. We've already said that, but yeah, basically that's the guy who owns the company, and apparently he's a wrong 'un. Allegedly, I don't know. I've never met the guy. King Charles III portrait in Scotland's National Gallery defaced by climate activists. A portrait of King Charles III in the National Gallery of Scotland in Edinburgh was vandalised by climate activists, despite the monarch long championing environmental causes. Yes, these people are fucking idiots. Of all the people to vandalise them off, the one you don't do is Prince Charles, who since the 70s has been banging on about reducing emissions and all this kind of stuff and wanting everything. I mean, of all the people to vandalise the pictures of, these people just need shooting. Drastic, but yeah, bring the death penalty to these people, because let's be honest, we don't need them in the bloody gene pool, do we? They'll just produce more offspring like this. But yeah, two members of the climate action group This Is Rigged staged the protest by spray painting the group's flame logo on the neon pink on the monarch's body, and the people are mightier than the Lord by stencil. So yeah, King Charles, yeah. Well, yeah, they just changed the glass. Is that classed as treason? Yeah, I suppose it is, because if you deface a coin, even though you're allowed to, if you go to museums, you can put a penny in a machine, can't you? And it gets crushed, and it comes out with a picture of a train on it if you're at the National Museum of Rail or whatever. But yeah, if you burn cash, like money, like old pound notes, whatever, that you can get in trouble for that, because you're defacing the Queen. But these are just muppets. I mean, they're absolutely bonkers. And of all the people to deface, it's like, you know, King Charles has been going on about environmental issues for as long as I can remember. So they pick on him. Man, mum, daughter drive through thick smoke and flames to escape Italian wildfire in terrifying video. A terrifying video from Sicily, Italy shows the nail-biting moments a mother and daughter were surrounded by the smoke and flames from a raging wildfire while driving. The video, which was recorded by Centromore Natalia Magrizia, showed how perilous conditions were during their drive from Santa Cruz to their home in Calartorni on the islands of But if I was somewhere and there was a fire coming towards me, when you see the fire from the air, the fire is actually quite narrow. The flames are quite narrow. So rather than try and run away from it, if I knew the road was pretty straight, I'd drive through it and end up in the wilderness that was left, i.e. all the black burnt trees and all that kind of stuff, because the fires are not actually that wide. So if you've got a straight bit of road and you hammer it through that, and get through to the other side, you're going to be safe, and the fire's going away from you then. And even if the wind does turn, it can't come back and re-burn when it's already burned. So I think they did the right thing. But anyway, would it be Prince Charles if it was from before he was king? I know it's still classed as King Charles, because he is the king. So it doesn't matter when the painting was painted, he's still King Charles. So it might have been painted whilst he was Prince Charles, but now he's King Charles. The fire truck going through the fire in Australia was shocking. Yeah, I've seen a few videos like that, but yeah, it's just, it might be a couple of 100 metres or 100 metres or whatever, but once you're through that, you're fine. Girl 16 shot by a apparent stray bullet in New York City. Oh, so is that okay then? No, it's not. A 16-year-old girl was struck by an apparent stray bullet during a violent dispute on Brooklyn Street late on Thursday. The police believe that she was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time, and she was wounded while a group of men fought nearby. Absolute joke that they think. I mean, they're basically making excuses for people being shot. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Where are we up to? Oh, I've lost my place now. Are we on that one? We're on that one. Are we on Prince Harry? I think we're on Prince Harry. King Charles, Prince William, massively irritated by Harry's latest court battle. An expert says so it must be true. Prince Harry is irritating the royals. Who knew? A 12-year-old boy faces more than 80 charges for a string of alleged car thefts despite not being old enough to drive. A 12-year-old Georgia boy is accused of breaking into dozens of cars of which he isn't even old enough to drive. The Griffin Police Department said that the unidentified boy was arrested. He has been charged with 84 counts of entering an auto and an additional 5 counts of criminal trespass. Sheesh. They're reproducing like rats in New York. Yes, wrong place at the wrong time. How about they don't shoot each other to begin with? Exactly. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time and I didn't get a Tesco club card point. Anyway, moving on swiftly. Oh my word. North Korea unveils state-run art exhibition with painting of Kim Jong-un riding horseback. I feel sorry for the horse because he's not a little guy. Kim Jong-un took the reins on his own portraits. North Korea launched a state-run art exhibition this week with propaganda paintings of the supreme leader, including one portraying him triumphantly riding horseback after lifting a rule that previously blocked artists from depicting him. The borderline absurd work, no it's not borderline, it's absurd work, is on display at the Okryu exhibition house in Pyongyang. Portraits of the chubby tyrants. Sorry, I can't go on. That's just the most stupid picture ever. I mean, at least he's not bare-chested like, other world leaders like to be. And some YouTubers. Ukraine moves Christmas to December the 25th to abandon Russian tradition. Here's hoping you have a very unhappy holiday. Ukraine is so eager to spite Russia, it's passed a law changing when it celebrates Christmas. Well, that'll show Putin, won't it? The country will now mark the holiday on the 25th of December, dropping the Russian Orthodox Church's tradition of celebrating the holiday on January the 7th. The bill's sponsors believe changing will help Ukraine abandon the Russian heritage of imposing the celebration of Christmas in January. It'll also pay off someone, and no doubt you'll get a lot more missiles landing on Christmas Day in Ukraine than you would do normally, unfortunately. Luke Williams, I'm off now, it'll be fun. We'll watch the rest tomorrow. No worries, Luke, you look after yourself. So Russia can rest on their Christmas and attack Ukraine on their Christmas. Yeah, exactly. Two men killed, woman wounded in New York City overnight shooting, say the cops. 2 men were shot and killed when bullets flew early Saturday on Staten Island and Brooklyn. Well, a woman took a bullet in the leg on the Bronx. You don't take a bullet. You take a bullet if I was the Bodyguard, the movie. It's shite. But I was forced to watch it with one of my exes. And I'm pretty sure at some point, Kevin Costner, or whoever it is, leaps in front of Whitney Houston and takes a bullet for her. That is taking a bullet. You are deliberately getting in the way to save someone else. You are taking a bullet for them. If you're walking down the street and you get hit by a stray bullet, you're not taking the bullet. You are being shot. There's a difference. Fuming. Absolutely. Fuming. Well, I've been angry about other things, I'll be honest. 5 people injured, 2 critical in shooting at Seattle community outreach event. It's really disturbing. No poo Sherlock. 5 people were wounded in a shooting during a community outreach event in Seattle. As 2 victims are fighting for their lives in critical condition, shooting occurred just before 8 p.m. in the parking lot of an Old King donut shop in King County. So it's trying to get the community together, and 5 people get shot. Maybe she took the bullet instead of someone getting hit by a stray bullet. Yeah, that's a good point. Exiled Russian mercenary boss hails Niger coup and touts services. Wagner mercenary boss Yevgeny, who remains active despite leading a failed mutiny against the Russian army's top brass last month, has hailed Niger's military coup as good news. Military coup as good news and offered his fighters services to bring order. A voice message on Telegram app channels associated with Wagner said that Peterson did not claim involvement in the coup, but described the moment as long overdue. Basically, yeah, Africa is going through a lot of crap at the minute, and Niger has been involved in a coup, a very bloody coup as well, and there's a lot of Wagner mercenary troops in Africa at the moment, and they are being offered to help. I don't know. Next up is a man killed and a 14-year-old hurt in separate New York City shootings. A man was killed and a 14-year-old boy was injured in 2 separate shootings in the Big Apple, less than 20 minutes apart. The bloody span began around 8:50 p.m. when a teenager was shot in the torso at Frederick B. Judge Playground, you should be safe there, in South Ozone Park, Queens. He was taken to a private means to Jamaican hospital in stable condition, according to the cops. And another man was killed in another shooting a few moments later in a different area. They don't think they're related at all, but yeah, you go to the playground and you get shot in the torso. Ukraine says Qatar will give $100 million in humanitarian aid during the ongoing war with Russia. Qatar will provide Ukraine with $100 million in humanitarian aid to support health, education and demeaning. In Ukraine, Prime Minister Dinal Shimil said on Friday. He made the announcement after talks with visiting Qatari Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman. They also discussed global food security as the expired Black Sea grain deal with President Vladimir Zelensky as well. So yeah, they're basically trying to get everything going again. The only problem is, and this is something that we're walking into like we did with China, as I've said before, we've become so reliant on China that basically China can do anything and we can't do anything about it because they make everything that we need. Everything in your phone, everything in the computer that I'm using, everything on the TV that you're watching this on, or the tablet you're watching this on, or the phone that you're watching this on, everything in your car, electrical particularly, all made in China. So if China decide to invade Taiwan, we can't do a damn thing about it. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia is slowly taking over the world by buying into sports at the moment. They're spending a lot of money in sports. They're doing a lot of stuff for the holiday resorts and all that. They're spending billions of dollars because their oil is going to run out. They know their oil's going to run out. They know that we won't need it after a few more years. So their income will just literally dry up. People will no longer require it. So what they're doing is they're putting money into other things so that they can still make the money and live the life they're living, by making investments, which is why they're paying all these footballers stupid amounts of money to go and play in Saudi Arabia for football teams you've never heard of, which is why they bought that LV golf thing where they were paying golfers millions and millions and millions of dollars to play one match. They are literally doing the same thing, and their humanitarian human rights history is shocking. We shouldn't be letting countries like this slip their way into our psyche. We should be like, no, you can't do that. No, this is a British company, this is a British thing, or American, or whatever. But yeah, you watch out. In years to come, Saudi Arabia will own the world with China. Where are we up to? Two shootings in different areas. How would they be related? Can he teleport now? Where are they getting their money from? Well, from the oil initially. I tend to blame Thatcher for putting all our stuff in the foreign places. Yeah, she's dead now though. I have a question for you, Elder. Oh heck, this is going to be something. And then last one from America. Superiority Burger has a New Yorkers waiting for hours for vegan patties and been described as weird. It's no surprise that New York City's hottest summer restaurant has Big Apple eaters waiting for hours in the heat. But for an anti-beef burger, New Yorkers, many of them meat eaters, polled by the Post during a 90-minute wait, have confirmed that they stacked Quorn-based vegan patties at the Superiority Burger are indeed superior. Nah, the marquee at 119 Avenue A, emblazoned with Copper Sharp, isn't a hyping a cheesy snack. Yeah, basically they're doing a vegan burger, and people go mad for it. Now, every vegan burger I've had has been vile. The texture is just squelchy, and I worry. Again, we're talking about green and all that kind of stuff. We're trying to save the planet and all that shit. You've got vegetables and grain or whatever. In order to make that look and taste like a burger and have the texture of a burger, which it doesn't, takes a lot of energy, a lot of processing, and we're trying to stay away from processed food. So the vegan burger is more processed than a beef burger, because a beef burger, they just mince the beef up and they go like that with it, sprinkle it with a bit of salt, done. Vegan burger, they've got to mash it all up, they've got to do this, they've got to do that, they've got to do this, process that, add this, add that, blah 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 blah. Vegan burgers are not. No, don't even get me started. If olive oil is made from olives and sunflower is made from sunflowers, what is baby oil made from? Well, obviously babies. We know that. EU vegan food, yeah. Green meat is full of plastic. Just eat broccoli. Exactly. If you're vegan, eat vegetables. It's better for you. I like broccoli, as you know. When you saw when I did the roast chicken the other week, I had literally a huge lump of broccoli on the plate. Anyway, that's it for America. What's been going on in America? We've had a look at America. It's time to go down to Australia. What's going on in Australia? A lot of movement, it would appear. Not a lot, to be fair, this week. It's been pretty quiet from the Australians. G'day, sport. What's going on, mate? We've only got 3 stories. Bit PP, if you ask me. Australia wants to be more like America. Well, sadly, it is. Because we've got 3 injured after a shooting in Sydney. America influence is moving to Australia, which is not a good thing at all. Hopefully, it's a one-off thing, but probably not. Retail stores to merge into discount giants. So Kmart and Target in Australia are merging into a $10 billion discount giant, but it's 10 billion Australian dollars, so that's about £4.50. So yeah, and then gas to be banned in all new homes. This kind of makes sense. The state governments says the move will help tackle the cost of living pressures as well as climate change. And yeah, if gas isn't going to be available, then why build houses that have got gas in them? So yeah, makes perfect sense. I actually agree with that one. I'm not necessarily agree it's going to affect climate change, but yeah, if gas is no longer available, then what's the point of having a gas stove? He says with a gas stove. And that's it for Australia. Alright, mate. Yeah, it was that brief. And finally, there's quite a lot of and finally, to be fair, this week. So I don't think we're near the end. We've still got quite a bit to go. Stunning vampire. Yeah, okay, I'll take your word for it. Gets recognition of undead status with birth listed as 1383. A Croatian woman who claims to be more than 600 years old says she's been officially recognised as an immortal bloodsucker as she continues to raise money to pay her tax fine. Yeah. Gets to be banned, so not MPs. Yes. Sex mad McDonald's staff at UK branch all caught gonorrhea from each other. A BBC investigation spoke to hundreds of staff members who claimed that the fast food outlet had serious issues going on, but one specific branch in Northern Ireland had a very different issue on the site. Everyone had been bunking everyone else and they'd all got gonorrhea. You've heard of planes on a train? Snakes on a train. The snake was spotted travelling on a train carriage from Leeds to Shipley, and nervous passengers give the animal space on its journey, was soon claiming they would hide in the toilets. It's probably not a good idea, because it probably came out up the toilet, to be fair. They were all loving it in the back. Well, yeah, on the front as well, I would assume. Daredevil climate protesters managed to scale a 100-foot steel horse monument. Climate activists from This Is Rigged somehow managed to scale one of the 100-foot tall Kepler statues, two giant horse heads in a park in Scotland this morning, which was last Sunday. I don't think, I'm not an expert in these things, but I'm pretty sure I could possibly climb a height up there because it's got lots of holes in it, footholes, handholds, that kind of thing. Sack a lot of them. Yeah, or at least give them some antibiotics. Looks like the face of Wigan. Jay Morris, welcome back. You missed America, you'll be pleased to hear. Sorta. Yeah, it's very similar. Meanwhile in Florida, the finders keeper game is strong. And there we've got a rather fabulous alligator on Lido, whatever. Meanwhile in Wigan, Wigan news, fake news. Staff at Wigan's Quick Fit store have been confirmed that they remain open but ask customers enter via the deep end, which is genius. We had a bit of flooding in Wigan this last week, you may have noticed on Wigan Watch. Finally, Chris and Steve, Bullseye Star Prize winners in 1989 from Skulls, get to use their prize to navigate Pottery Road in Wigan, Astor and Scott Lane this morning. And here's what you could have won. Again, to do with the floods. Taking her to Starbucks because I forgot her name. Genius. Absolutely genius. Have I got news for you? Nigel Farage receives apology from the BBC for the first time since producers of Question Time forgot to put grapes near the hot tub in his dressing room. I'm not saying he's posh or anything or demanding, but yeah, that kind of works. North Korea welcomes Putin minister as Russia begs for nuclear weapons. Vladimir Putin's defense minister has made a 3-day visit to Pyongyang for a victory day, but Ukrainian officials believe he's there to seek new weapons and ammunition. And I imagine he is. Angry sea lion charges at children forcing families to flee beach terror. A viral video showed just how territorial sea lions can be, as the aggressive mammals were seen barking and chasing horrified beachgoers from popular holiday hotspots. It's not your territory, it's their territory. Elon Musk's Twitter blunder as X already trademarked by rival Mark Zuckerberg. Elon Musk's controversial rebranding of Twitter saw him change its name and logo to X, but legal experts have pointed out there could be an issue with other tech firms already having the rights to the letter. So we can't trademark it. If you've just joined us, check your phone, because we have now got X instead of the Twitter bird. It's gone. We've now got the X, so it's no longer Twitter, it's now X. And Twitter is my X, so that's fair. TV presenter caught baited on Zoom will regret it for the rest of his life. Former CNN legal correspondent Jeffrey Toobin has called the infamous Zoom call he was caught pleasuring himself on a disaster. But it's revealed that his life now is in a better place. Well, it always is after a quick one, isn't it? Excellent. Very good. A Just Stop Oil meeting was sabotaged by rape alarms taped to balloons. So they were having a meeting and a coffee and a bit of music and all that. So people went in with orange balloons with rape alarms attached to them and let them go to the ceiling so that no one could hear anything. Genius. That's the way to do it. Oh, I love stuff like that. Makes me laugh. Just stop the balloons. A group of Just Stop Oil protesters were surrounded by Just Stop pissing everyone off protesters, preventing them from marching onto the road. So the JSPEO protesters stopped the Just Stop Oil protesters from moving to the road by surrounding them and holding hands. They had some kind of weird conversation, but yeah, these people are just not right. The balloons were fantastic, really, really good. No offence, but if someone is excited about something, you make them feel stupid for being excited about it, you're the worst type of person, and that's a life thing. But I kind of agree with that as well. If someone's excited about the new Harry Potter film or the new Star Wars movie or a new Pokemon card, well, they're idiots. But you can't tell them that. Okay? Just remember that. You have to be nice. Otherwise they get offended. And then you're the bad guy. Viz Comic, one of their things that they get, top tips. I'm all for the right to protest, but I can't help but feel that things have gone too far when a bird strike meant our flight was diverted. What do they even want? Genius. I'm excited for the new next train strike. Well, that's great. I'm glad you are. I hope it's everything you want it to be, and I hope you live a long and happy life. Congratulations to Everton FC on their first game in the new stadium. To be fair, that is Liverpool. That's the Albert Dock, which is a quarter of a mile away from the new stadium. But again, genius. This is basically where that new stadium is. Anyone doing an act like this these days would soon find themselves ostracised. If you don't know, Bernie Clifton was an entertainer in the 70s, 80s, 90s and 90s, and occasionally pops up now, and his big act was riding around on a pretend ostrich. So yeah, anyone doing that would now be ostracised. You see, it's a joke. AI is shocking. It's not great. However, it does have its moments. AI sees Putin go full Barbie with bright pink suits despite the film being banned in Russia. Blockbuster movie Barbie is actually not available to watch in Russia due to a worldwide boycott of the country. But AI-powered software has imagined Putin as a massive pink-loving Barbie fan. I'll give you a response, but I can get an AI to do it instead. Yes, that's the funny side of AI. But I mean, it's quite realistic as well in that respect. So it's kind of worrying that they can do stuff like that already, and it's only going to get more realistic. So anything we see, you have to take with a pinch of salt. Serial bank robbing pensioner Mrs. Court, thanks to a perfect excuse, she died. Bonnie Gooch, the first. should have read this first. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Oh, the poor woman's dead as well. It's quite a serious story. I'm not making this up, by the way. I mean, I know you can't actually see that probably. But yeah, there you go. Bloody gooch. Oh my word. I'm back in the room. She first robbed a bank in the 1970s and has been continuously doing so over the next 50 years, but she won't be punished for her latest escapades because she has now passed away. So it's a tragedy. It's really sad. A melting glacier releases remains of hiker who went missing 40 years ago. The glaciers are melting due to climate, and as a result, the remains of a German hiker who vanished nearly 40 years ago have now been discovered and tested for DNA. I've also heard rumours again, but again, you don't know whether it's true or not, that they've brought to life a worm or something that's been in the ice for 30,000 years. I mean, no, don't, please. I'm crying, smiley Mike. Yeah. I'm not far off, I'll be honest. Star Wars city-sized comet hurtling towards Earth and has grown horns. No, it's not. Experts have also likened the erupting deformed comet, which is known as 12P /Pons-Brooks, to the iconic spaceship from Star Wars, the Millennium Falcon. Well, who can argue with that? The Millennium Falcon is real. It's real. I spent $300,000 to look like a sex cyborg. People hate it, but I don't care. Matteo Blanco Matteo Blanco spent $300,000 on more than 25 plastic surgery procedures to upgrade his lips and bum to become a self-styled sex cyborg, and says he looks perfect. Putin didn't turn up for the invasion because he died. Well, that might be how he gets out of appearing in court. Matteo Blanco, what a name. Right, this is the... Right, I mean, yeah. This is the monumentally flip side and dark side of AI. And this is why... Those glasses must ruin the view, yes. This is why we need to be so cautious on stuff, and so cautious on the people who are actually use this technology, although we'll all be able to use it very, very soon indeed. I mean, technically we all can, but not to the level this is. Yeah, 3,000 on your face. Yeah, 300,000 on your face. His what? His parts must be pretty bland then. Well, yeah, I've got to say, yeah, it looks like Action Man downstairs. Anyway, I say we've had a bit of fun there, but it's going to take a massively dark turn, particularly for people who I mentioned earlier on, Jamie Bulger, and he was the 2-year-old who was kidnapped in a shopping centre in Bootle, Liverpool, by two 10-year-olds who then proceeded to torture him and murder him on some train tracks. Absolutely horrific case that shocked, I don't think just Liverpool or the country, but I think it shocked the entire world. Some sicko has used AI to bring back James Bulger and to get him to talk, this creature that they've created, to talk about the experience that he had. I mean, you've got to be beyond sick to come up with stuff like that. It's just absolutely sick. And that's why AI isn't that great. It's good for taking the piss out of Putin, but not stuff like that. I mean, for God's sake, a 2-year-old kid gets horrifically murdered and you're doing something that you think is amusing about it. It's not. Finally, this is sick on a different level. Quarter of Brits sleep naked, and it has big benefits if you do so, say experts. It seems like many people like feeling the duvet on their skin come night time, with just under a quarter of Brits sleeping naked, according to a new survey. And there's benefits if you do, says an expert. Now here's an image for you. I sleep naked. All the time. I mean, I don't sleep naked when I'm awake. Oops. But no, I think it's good for your body to not have anything pressurising it, particularly like underwear or anything like that. I think it's good for things to, you know, get some air on around them and things. Although I do wrap myself in the duvet, but there's nothing touching my skin, and I think it's great. And I also warmer as well. The reason I mainly started doing it is because when I lived at my mum's house, we had single glazing, and in the winter it was freezing. And I don't know what happened. I think I might have accidentally spilt some drink on my pyjamas, and it was the only clean pyjamas I had. So I went to bed with no clothes on because I'd wet my pyjamas with a liquid that was a drink, not any other liquid in it. Wet myself. And I got in bed, and very quickly I warmed up. I was a lot warmer than I was when I wore pyjamas, and I thought, this is a bit weird. So I started doing it, and yeah, you're a lot warmer, but you're also cooler as well in the summer because you haven't got clothes on you. Here we go. So if you're out camping, you'd sleep naked? Well, yeah, possibly. I mean, I'm in a tent, so it doesn't really matter. You get naked in a tent anyway when you change your underwear. People on YouTube are trying to use a spirit box to try and catch the spirit of him. Oh yeah, yeah, it's absolutely sick. If you sleep naked, your fufa's out. Oh, I've seen a clip of what's he called, Rishi Rich, where he's talking to a couple of schoolboys in a school, I assume. And he's on about you know, drinking various drinks and all that, and he says I'm addicted to Coke, and then he thinks what he said and immediately says I'm in Coca-Cola, and the two lads just absolutely wet themselves. But you still need to hang at least 1 foot out. I'm lucky if I can hang 1 inch out, never mind 1 foot, mate. Jeez. But no, I think it's good for your body, and I think it's good for your body not to have something tight against it all the time. I think it's good. I mean, the only time most people are naked is when they're in the bath or in the shower, or if you're getting changed, and even then it's very quick. But no, I just don't like wearing clothes in bed. Rishi's meeting up with kids. Yeah, that come out wrong as well. This broadcast is going to get clipped so many times, and then AI is going to take over it, and then all of a sudden I'll be some kind of weirdo. No, okay, yeah, I already am some kind of weirdo. So, welcome to my world. Anyway, that's it for the world, not the world news, for the, and finally, which brings us to breaking news, a new feature. We had some fantastic news regarding the Grand Arcade this week, which I did as a breaking news. Did anyone like the breaking news segment on my last Wigan Watch? Because I loved it. I thought it was brilliant, having it before and then saying, we now return to our normal programming. It goes, Wigan Watch, Wigan Watch, Wigan Watch, Wigan Watch, Wigan Watch. It did all that. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was really good. But anyway, yeah, I'm not that I'm praising myself. So latest news. I'm basically just clicking on what's Wigan Watch. Oh, if you watch Talk TV, they talk about it quite a bit. yeah, the breaking news, exciting time. We can watch. Brilliant. Anyway, Christ. Breaking news. Basically, let's just go to the bottom of my PC and see what pops up. So Max Verstappen given boost with Belgian GP qualifying announcement. I don't want to know what that is. I don't care. I do care, but I don't want to know. The Repair Shop Christmas special. Nope, I don't believe in that kind of thing. How to make chocolate fudge cake, crowd pleasing recipe with 25 minutes prep. That's too long. I just go to the shop and buy it. COVID cases rise amid waning immunity. Well, obviously, immunity is going to go down, but hopefully COVID isn't that powerful. Experts reveal how often you should wash your towels. Oh, right, so we've been sleeping naked, and now how often do you wash your towels? How often do you wash your bed sheets? That's another weird one. There are people who wash the towels every time they have a bath or a shower, and I think that's excessive. And then there are other people who wash them like once every 6 months, and I think that's pretty disgusting. But yeah, it's a non-story story, but anyway. Nigel Farage launches a website to tackle major scandal of debanking. I've not really covered the debanking thing because I don't really care. Wagner soldiers will pose as illegal migrants to enter EU countries. So they're now fleeing Russia and they've got to pretend to be, yeah, what could possibly go wrong? This is how often you should actually change your razor. Well, I change it when it goes blunt and it rips my skin. 10 flattering long sleeve maxi dresses for summer. People have considered me stupid. I'm not. Tens of thousands of over 50s could have undiagnosed ADHD. I think, yeah, I mean, I'm over 50, and I think, I don't think I've got ADHD, but I'm certainly on the autistic spectrum. I think we all are to a degree, but we weren't diagnosed back in the day because that was just being an individual and being, you know, like normal kind of thing. Talk's ticking deadline and looming car boot sell-off. So Talk is currently in financial trouble. Oh my God! Bed experts share how often to wash bedding and pillows. It's no news day today. Are you eligible for a free TV licence? And Griffey Jones pays tribute to the late Mel Smith. Well, Mel Smith died years ago, so this is like non-news breaking news. That's on Talk TV laughing about Wigan Watch. I hope the lady subscribed. Yeah, I wash my towels after a shower, sheets twice a week. I iron everything, sock sheets, underwear, pillowcases. I iron nothing. I don't even have an ironing board anymore. I got rid of it. I literally iron zip. I think that's one advantage of my stupidity of wearing clothes that are too tight, that my fat body fills them out, so I don't need to iron them anyway. I've never ironed underwear. I've never ironed socks. And I don't wash my bedding. I might wash my bedding, I don't know. If I've had a particularly sweaty night, I'll wash my bedding then, but other than that, no, I think once every 6 months is enough. I'm joking, but I don't wash it twice a week. I don't go anywhere near that, Jesus. So yeah, there must be something more important than that going on. Oh, Seymour. Okay, let's have a look at Seymour. Seymour, wasn't he a character in Thing Above? I don't know. Dun-dum. Cleaning expert settles debate on how often to wash clothes, including jeans. Stop going on about bloody clothes. Major broadcasters not airing Sinead O'Connor tributes after her death. Oh, why? Because she slagged them off. Stuart Broad to retire from cricket. Boy released on bail after girl dies in a hit and run. That's a motorbike thing. Why you're washing your hair wrong? I mean, what is it with these stupid things? Benson Starr dies at age 90. 5 heatwave myths debunked by experts, and how you should really be staying cool at home. Well, I don't have a fan at all. Oh, back pain is a symptom of 4 cancers. Everything is a symptom of cancer. Fears of COVID spike as sales of tests shoot up. Common survival myths that are actually dangerous, and there's a picture of a guy eating snow. HS2 future in doubt as Watchdog warns it seems to be unachievable. Yeah, we should be doing HS2. There's more important things to spend our money on. Britain is on the brink of Britain is on the brink of signing a landmark free trade deal with India, heralding a huge win after Brexit. Yeah, Brexit's going to take time. I voted Brexit, and I knew it was going to be difficult, and I knew 100% that the other European countries would not make it easy for us to leave, because if they did, everyone would want to leave. So they made it as difficult as they can. That's what happens when you have negotiations. And then we had COVID, then we had the war in Ukraine. But we're now getting sorted. We joined that stupid thing down under with Australia and New Zealand and all that, which isn't going to make any difference, but it proves that we can do it. And we do one with India as well, and then eventually when Europe wakes up and realises that they're wasting money on countries that can't afford to be in Europe and they leave, we will be inviting them back again. More Wagner fighters move closer to Polish border, says the PM, Polish PM. Okay. And that's it, I think. Yeah. Every vehicle has this button. Most use it wrong. It's this air circulation button. A mysterious pyramid found under Antarctica ice, sparking conspiracy theories. It's a fucking mountain. What's the conspiracy about that? Anyway, that is it. Where would you recommend for food in Wigan? I mainly go to Cloonan's in the market. It's not brilliant, but it's better than most other places. But I like fried chicken, so what can I say? The most important thing to say in Wigan is why Elder hasn't been elected. We're all your fans. Don't put yourself down. I voted leave and never regretted it. Leave here. Agreed, Smiley, 100%. If the Remain was so great, why am I in the state I am? Crappy. Well, we're all in a state, mate. It's not just you, it's everyone. Anyway, it's time to give the shout out. Oh no, we need to have a look at the stats. So we've got 9 people watching at the moment. We've got a chat rate of 3, which is pretty good. Highest number of viewers has been 10. Average view duration is 21 minutes. I've had 1 like. I only get to see the likes on the live broadcast while it's live. So I've had 1 like, which is a bit depressing considering how many people are on here, and they all say they're fans. Well, I think you're all lying. So, Luke Williams, has it deleted them again? Yeah, it's deleted all the chat again. It's reset the chat. Why does it do that? It's really annoying. Anyway, Luke Williams, thank you very much for joining in the chat. Smiley Mac, Angela O'Kane, Deno, Foxstar, JT, who I missed, actually, won't be here, but JT, I did see you. Sorry, mate, I missed you. Kim Braid, anyone else? Dumpty Dumpty Dum, Luke again, Smiley Mac again, Luke again, Smiley Mac, Deno, Smiley Mac, Angela, Smiley Mac, Luke, Deno, Foxstar, Smiley Mac, Deno, Smiley Mac, Deno, Smiley Mac. Oh, got 5 likes now, thank you. I was fishing. Angela, okay. Deno, there's someone else. I'm sure there's someone else who came on the chat. You've done a lot of chatting today. I can see why I've got chat rate's gone down to 1 now, but it was up to 3. Luke, Deno, Smiley, Angela, Smiley, Deno, Foxstar again, Deno, Smiley, Angelo. Got up to 6 now, thank you. Jay Morris. That was the other one, I think. I think that's it then, isn't it? everyone else is on unless... Oh, it's got up to 5 now. I've got 6 likes and chat rate of 5. You're all mad. Well, we're up to the towels bit now. There we go. Hit that like button, subscribe and hit that little bell. Way, calm down. I sleep naked in bed. I don't want people doing that. Yeah, we've got another Silence Taste video coming up in a bit, so that'll be good fun. Anyway, like I said before, thank you very much for watching, if indeed you still are. We will leave it there. I will see you all again next week, and don't forget there's other stuff going on the channel as well, so like Angela said, don't forget to like, share and hit the subscribe button. No, it's not, it was Smiley Mac who said hit that like button, subscribe and hit that little bell. I do apologise for the language that you use then by shouting all the time, but you know, it's fine. She wasn't too keen on the salmon, she licked the gravy. To be fair, she always licks the gravy on anything I give her before she eats it. And then she'll eat it. She just likes the gravy, I think, on anything. She'll always go, the cat, we're talking about here. Yeah, that bloody carrot thing you got her, every time I come in the house, I've no idea where it's going to be. It's been upstairs, it's been downstairs, it's been in a... She's put it back in her toy box a few times, and then it's been next to the litter tray, it's been next to the food. If I go downstairs now, it's probably moved again. Anyway, shouting gets more results, that's Germany. Oh, God. Anyway, thanks. I will tell her, Angela, thank you. You take care, look after yourselves, and I will see you all again next time. Until then, thank you very much for watching, and... Bye! I don't know whether it's ended or not. It's going here now. I think it's ended. I don't know, it's not. Anyway, people who listen to the podcast, I hope you've enjoyed it as well, and all being well, we will be back again doing another one at some point in the near future. And if we haven't, then I don't know what's going on, because we finished the broadcast and it's not. We're going to go. Oh, it's giving me a bloody advert. I don't want an advert. I don't want an advert. Why do you put adverts on? I don't want an advert. I don't want an advert. We'll be back again. Alright, that's it. We're done. Okay, thank you. Bye.